Roman from Rise Over Run Vancouver here, and today I have two special guests, Sebastian and Jazmina, the CEOs and founders of Awake Abroad Media, coming all the way from Mexico, and they are on a mission to help inspiring entrepreneurs become industry leaders using content marketing and social media platforms. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Super excited to share your story and your mission. All right, guys, so why don't we just jump right into it? What inspired you guys to start Awake Abroad Media and go down this path together?
All right, thanks for having us, Roman.
Thanks for having us.
We started Awake Abroad Media when we were traveling through Mexico mid-2021. And we had our own careers back in Canada before coming to Mexico. Like, it was during, peak world crisis at the time. And so we went to Mexico to travel on a 2-week vacation that we never went back home after. So we stayed here in Mexico. And at the time, I had a business in Vancouver. I was doing real estate marketing and a little bit of social media at the time. And when we actually started Awake Abroad Media, or Awake and Abroad, as a vlog, like a travel vlog. And eventually, as our time got extended in Mexico, we started to look for ways to start a business and actually continue doing what we were doing back home. And we first started making it like a photo and video agency. And then eventually we got to turning it into a social media marketing agency and content marketing agency. And the reason why is because we found this big gap in the market with all of the entrepreneurs that we were working with back home. Like, she was doing photography, I was doing photography and commercial video. And we just noticed a lot of people, especially in the real estate industry, they weren't taking advantage of social media to the full potential. And so by helping them get on social media and leverage the power of social media through content marketing, it was just another opportunity for us to deliver value to our clients.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think for me especially, it was about, I've always had a dream to build an online business so that I can not only help people in person, but, increase the impact I can make and actually help people all around the world. So, and it was a perfect opportunity having moved to Mexico, basically having lost most of my in-person photography clients and already doing social media management on the side. So having similar skills and goals and passions with Seb, we thought, why not introduce this service? And like Seb said, there was a gap that we saw that we could fill with our unique skills, which mainly come from, content creation, professional photography and video, and obviously content is king in this day and age. So we thought, let's put those skills to good use and see how we can help business owners from, all walks of life, all different types of industries, and just help them the way we know best.
That is absolutely amazing. You guys have a really cool testimony, going out to Mexico for a vacation and never coming home, then taking the leap of faith just with, of course, you don't have your 9-to-5 job there. You got to go all in with the entrepreneur lifestyle. And you guys are doing it. I think it's super cool, super inspiring. I love what you said, Jazmina, the content is king. I think that's so true. There's so many businesses out there that are not taking advantage of social media. And it's awesome what you guys are doing by helping these businesses and business owners to be able to leverage social media and grow their business. I think you guys have an awesome story. I can't wait to hear more of it. So why don't you guys share with us how it all started? What did those beginning days look like?
Jazz and I met in Vancouver while she was doing a ski trip from Toronto in Vancouver. And I invited a friend over for just a beer and a hangout. And he's like, can I bring my friend that's visiting me from Toronto? And I said, sure, no worries. So she came over and we started talking at my house. And I was like, what do you do for a living? She's like, I'm a photographer. And the amount of times I hear that, right? So I was like, oh, you're a photographer, okay. Like, let's see some of your work. And I was really impressed. She's a great photographer. So I asked her, like, do you want to go shoot some photos while you're here? And we did. So we went, we took some photos, and the friendship remained for a couple of months leading into mid-2021. And during that time, we had a loose conversation about possibly going to Mexico on just a little getaway to kind of get away from all the intensity that was happening in Canada at the time. And so we're like, okay, like, let's go as friends. Let's go to Mexico. I got family here. And so we flew down what was supposed to be 2 weeks, and it just ended up extending that trip a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And then when we actually wanted to like go back to Canada, we couldn't get on a plane. So it just kind of, we hit kind of this crossroads of like, what are we going to do? Are we going to just like stay here or somehow try to make it back to Canada? And we kind of just saw that opportunity to take a step towards a new opportunity, something new.
In Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So you guys technically went to Mexico as like a vacation, go shoot some photos together, do some content, whatnot. And then you guys got stuck there due to the pandemic. You couldn't fly back. So you had no choice but really to either find some way back to Canada, like hitchhiking or something, or stay in Mexico. That is so cool.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't too sad about it. I mean, I was on one hand because I was like, oh, I'm not sure when I'll get to see my family again. But I knew it was gonna lift and everything was gonna open up again. But secretly, I was like, I actually want to live here. I've always wanted to live somewhere tropical, and like I said, have that location freedom and force myself to actually build an online business that I could take anywhere if I decided to live Bali or Colombia or wherever else I wanted. So. Yeah,
it's so true. You can really, live anywhere you want once you grow your business online. I think that's inspiring and it's epic. I think we could do another podcast on like what it's like to move to Mexico and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But we might have to do that here too as well this year. So why don't you guys elaborate a little bit more on how Awake Abroad Media all started and the steps you guys had to take together out in Mexico?
Okay, so Awake and Abroad, like Seb mentioned earlier, actually started as a name for our Mexico travel vlog that is out there in the YouTube world. But eventually we changed it, or I would say it evolved into Awake Abroad Media, which became a production company for photography and video. At the time, we were looking for and working with local boutique hotels here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, as well as realtors. Just piggybacking off of Seb's experience in real estate marketing from Vancouver, where he worked with a lot of realtors, and also from my experience in the commercial and editorial photography industry from Toronto. So we did that for about a year, I would say. But we quickly realized that we didn't just want to work with local business owners. There was a couple discrepancies with the way they do business, as well as maybe a bit of a limiting mindset, whereas we had this big vision, right? We wanted to help, bigger brands and just more people and just help them market in a way that is not as common here in Mexico, or maybe it's a little bit behind here, let's just say. So we're kind of like forward thinkers, I would say. We understand the power of social media and, like you said earlier, leveraging social media to grow your brand. And so we wanted to really use that and use everything we know to help entrepreneurs. So we thought, why not add the marketing element, specifically pertaining to social media, to our service offering? So basically the way it started was, we had a long, deep conversation about it, and then we got to work. We redid our website. We added the social media management and marketing to it, which, we started working with a local realtor for. We started gaining some momentum. And then, of course, as with any business, it kind of kept evolving over time. And now, a year and a little bit later, it's evolved into what it is today, which we have refined our offer. We're kind of focusing more on like a high ticket service offering. Instead of offering, multiple services, we're really trying to laser focus on one main offer. But we wanted to make sure that one offer like encompasses everything that an entrepreneur would need to, grow their brand and make an impact on social media and just in their industry.
Yeah. So just to add to that, I remember when we decided to switch to social media and content marketing agency, we had a conversation on this couch, actually. It was after banging our head against the wall, after months and months of trying to acquire really driven clients here. And we weren't finding those people. We weren't finding the entrepreneurs that had that forward vision. So it kind of I'm not sure if you can relate to this, but it's kind of that your potential can surpass that of what you can offer in a certain, how can I explain it? It's I was limited by other factors that were beyond me. And that was incredibly frustrating. So I remember having this conversation with Jazz and being like, Jazz, I feel like there's more that we can do than to just take photos and videos. And we have all this knowledge on marketing. We've been shooting for 15 years, commercial photo and video. This is our career. How can we offer this and package this to entrepreneurs, but in a way that people aren't doing it already in the world of social media? Because social media managers, there's tons of them. Right? There's lots of people that can help you schedule posts and write captions and all that. But the content part, like Joss was saying, content is king. That was the big part where we were we can actually step in here and create sustainable systems, sustainable workflows in order to meet the demands of consistent content on social media, on multiple platforms. And that was really the sticking point. When we did all of our research, we were looking at what social media managers were doing. And we're okay, they offer one platform management. Once you stack up 4 or 5 platforms, you're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars. And so we thought how can we use our skills that we have and really package them to offer the most value possible? And that's where the content marketing really comes in, and where our packages started filling in that gap. So it was a really tough situation or a tough conversation, because we were both broken down, just super frustrated. All the projects that we can see so much potential here, and we're we see it, but we can't start with educating people of the value of a nice photograph or of a video for your business when they think that a video they take with their phone is sufficient enough, right? So it was very the limiting factor element that was really frustrating. So that's where we made that switch to social media, and it's been probably the best decision we've made. However, we still do some commercial and corporate production. Last year we got to shoot for Uber, Intel, Dropbox, Mars, Getty Images. So we still do that, but it's very select clients that we want to actually work with when it comes to just full-on content production.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Such an amazing story, and I bet you it definitely wasn't easy.
No, I was just going to add really quick to that of course it wasn't without its learning curves,
Yes, exactly.
Marketing, I wasn't an absolute, marketing master or anything. And with social media constantly changing and evolving, you always got to stay on your toes and just keep learning. So of course there's lots of learning curves, but I'm somebody who loves to learn. I'm quite literally addicted to learning. Seb will tell you I'm always buying a course or joining a program or something. So yeah, I love learning, and yeah.
That's how we got here.
Yeah. So for any new entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting a new business or online business, you can't surpass the learning curve. I'm sure there's going to be lots of curveballs thrown your way, but there's lots of amazing resources out there nowadays. So the University of YouTube.
Well, here's the like importance of where you come in, because like you said, social media is always changing. You got to continuously continue to adapt and adjust and learn what's trending, what's changing, what Instagram's deciding to do now, or and all other platforms. It's not just Instagram, it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, so on and so forth. But it's a business itself. So if a business owner is trying to run his his business, it's really hard for them to actually get into the groove of social media and constantly adapt, change, and be consistent and productive, and get the results on social media as well. So that's why it's important to have individuals like you come and take over the social media, and they can actually focus on their business, because social media is a full-time job itself for sure. So why don't you explain, you guys explained how it got started and kind of how you changed over to the social media, marketing aspect, right? But why don't you explain how someone gets started with you? Like if there was a business owner and they wanted to get their social media going, wanted to get an online presence, how would that look like for a new client?
Like you said, social media is a lot. It really is a lot, because one thing I've learned in business in regards to competition is that there's almost always somebody out there that has a bigger vision and has bigger commitment than you do to the same thing that you're doing. So you got to really start thinking about how to put yourself out there more creatively, right? And solving and allowing your business to really stand out on whatever marketing like avenue you're going to be doing. When it comes to like running a business and running social media, they say that the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that learn how to delegate and leverage. And that's really where like we come in, because I think it's extremely important for an entrepreneur to start social media on their own, to really put themselves out there and learn the ropes of kind of the basics of how it works, of the content creation. They need to be invested in that regard. They need to really want that end result, because it's not easy. And if it was easy, they wouldn't want it. So that's where we come in and say, hey, if you need help leveraging social media, right, without taking time away from the things that are really important, such as vertical growth in your business, delegating, hiring new people, putting yourself out there, meeting new people in person,
Spending time with family,
all those things. Those things are more important for your business than you being up at 4 a.m. editing a video just to put something out there.
Oh man, I'm gonna jump in there real quick. I'm sorry, but I'm a testimonial to that. So this is why you guys are going to have to take over my editing, because it's so true. I get home from work, and then instead of spending time with Ellie and cooking and being in the moment, I have to worry about editing, and then the next interview coming up, and the shoot that I got, and then it's like my whole week is like editing in between any little bit of time that I got, because then you got to so it would, for myself, even as of right now, as I'm going to be getting you guys to take over my editing for me, it's just like right now it just takes so much time out of my day-to-day life, where also I can be focusing on other things that will actually be getting me ahead, so on and so forth. So delegation is important too. And I had to jump in because I'm a testimonial to not having no life, because I got to focus on editing.
Yeah, and you know what? We know that all too well. Like we were there ourselves, like a short year or so ago. We weren't always, super streamlined and had all the workflows in place, but we went through the learning curve, and we have learned it. Like we spent a lot of time, we had our own mentor as well. And we've learned a lot since, and we have, it's by implementing these like frameworks and systems that you can really free up some of your time and just create a more sustainable system for yourself that, works in balance with your business, your content creation, and your personal life.
Definitely. And like, I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, they put too much attention into one piece of content, when really it's like content marketing and putting yourself on social media, it's actually your work throughout the period of 6 to 12 months that actually really presents who your brand really is. So putting a lot of effort into one piece of content and then missing out on opportunities or things that you can leverage to get your content seen by more people, it can be in a way a waste of time to an extent if you're not leveraging it to its full potential. So it's really like putting yourself out there in a way that's optimal for people to actually listen, hear, and benefit from the value that you have to share, if that makes sense. So we kind of came up with a system that allows you to create a high volume of content sustainably. And that's key, because putting out one good video like a week, it's great, a pat in the back, but that's not really going to get you in front of thousands and thousands of people like you want to. So it's really having that system for sustainability, like having a workflow of like ideation, scripting, filming, editing, scheduling, and publishing. Having all that laid out is really important. So I think for someone that wants to work with us, they need to really have a vision for where they want to take their brand. As an example, let's choose one industry. Let's say like realtors, right? If you're a realtor, is the whole purpose of your career to just be door knocking and selling homes? Or do you have a higher aspiration for yourself in your industry? Do you want to be a public speaker? Do you want to start your own brokerage? Do you want to have a team, right? How far do you want to take your career? Because the element that's going to take you further is the power of your personal brand. Think about any person that's notable in society. Like, let's just say someone that's really popular, like Logan Paul or something like that. He starts a business like Prime and it blows up. Why? Because of his personal brand. His personal brand has done the marketing for him. So by equipping entrepreneurs, using the example of a realtor, equipping a realtor with a strong personal brand, it just opens up those opportunities in the future for more things to happen, right? If they want to be on a board of members, if they want to be a managing broker, if they want to start an education school or something like that, that's really where we focus. So number one is you really need to have a very high committed vision for yourself and really understand that this is a long-term thing. And you have to be willing to get some help, because we're not going to be telling you what to say or how to say it per se, because that's the one element that's personal, right? Part of a personal brand. But we're going to help you with the systems around all that. We're going to guide you to get there. We're going to help you with the mouse clicking and the scheduling and all that stuff that takes up your time, so you can be yourself and actually have your personality shine with the best potential of standing out like above the crowd.
I love that. That was very well put. And I think it's so important as well. And you're right. It's all about building a personal brand, right? People buy into you, not necessarily the product. And the better you can grow yourself and grow your brand, the better you'll naturally sell, right? And then it's just like Grant Cardone, one of the biggest realtors out there. It's just because actually, this is a perfect example, because Grant Cardone has been like the reason why Grant Cardone is known as the real estate guru is because he leveraged social media, and he started before anyone else did, and he's been the hardest working and the most consistent out of any other realtor on social media. And that's why Grant Cardone 10X has some of the biggest conferences, some of the biggest real estate portfolios, and I'm sure everyone knows who he is that would be watching this interview. So he's just built a brand, and because he's built that brand, he has opportunities coming out of nowhere, left, right, and center, and he's able to sell property and build his real estate portfolio ongoing massively just because who he is and the brand he built around himself.
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen Undercover Billionaire?
I actually haven't watched that yet, but I definitely have to, yeah.
Highly recommend it. There's a season with Grant Cardone. He gets placed in the middle of a town.
Yeah.
A town that he's never been to. He only gets $100, and he's not allowed to use his name or his likeness like at all to leverage it. And he's supposed to make $1 million business, and I think he has like 3 months or something to do it.
I think maybe just a month.
I think it's 3
Maybe
months.
3 months.
Something like that. It's like in 90 days or something. And you see him, he gets dropped off on the side of a highway, and it's like he's switched on. Immediately, he's like, starts talking about how he's going to leverage and how he's going to build like a strategy to make $1 million, $1 million business. And like, that's really what it comes down to, right? Grant Cardone is where he is because of what's up here, because of the way that he sees things, the way that he problem solves. He removes barriers, or actually he doesn't remove them. He just hops over them, right? By, by finding solutions to things. And that's really why he's been so successful on social media, because he's willing to put himself out there, willing to have an opinion, willing to be controversial, willing to do what it takes despite, you know, messing up or making mistakes. He's just puts it out there. And I think that authenticity is magnetic. People are really drawn to people that are authentic and put themselves out there, because that's what, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people really long for is, you know, feeling completely aligned with yourself and being able to be yourself out there. And that social media really allows for that to happen if you're willing to do it.
I totally agree. And everything you everything you said was very well put. And just with Grant Cardone and what it takes, it's really the mindset. And I definitely got to watch that show. I know I follow him on social media, of course. So I remember when he was doing it and all that. I still haven't watched it, but it's so cool. It's just a relentlessness and not caring what people think and being willing to fail forward. But you nailed that all spot on. We need the drum roll. But anyhow, so what was some of the biggest fears you guys had when, you know, starting your business? You know, I usually ask this question as like, you know, what was some of the biggest fears you had when deciding to go all in? But you guys almost were forced to go all in.
Well, you know, you're never forced. I mean, you can always go out there and get a 9-to-5, but to be honest, I was not born for that 9-to-5 life. I was not made for that at all. In fact, I consider myself unemployable. The only person I want to be employed by is myself.
I feel you. Like right now, I'm working a 9-to-5. It's so hard.
Yeah, no. In fact, I've never had a full-time job. I'm saying that as a token of, I don't know, like, what do you call it?
You've always done it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
there's like, I think having a 9-to-5, I had one for a year. That was my only 9-to-5. But it was, for me, it was really a stepping stone, like a learning curve. Like I plugged into the corporate world and I just absorbed like the systems, the processes. Like I really admire like the reason why corporations, which really are large bodies of employees, regardless of who you put, you know, in most of the roles, it's still the same brand, it's still the same mission, it's still the same purpose. And that's because of the corporate values and the amount of specificity that they have in their brand and in the way of doing things, right? So that's something that I really picked up on and learned from my 9-to-5 was like how to maintain a concise and a powerful brand, right? That no matter what, it's recognizable, it upholds values, it's consistent. And for me, it was like a huge value. And yeah, I was getting a paycheck and the comfort of you know, making some money like through it and stuff. But ultimately, like if it wasn't for that and the experience I learned in that, I don't think I'd be where I am now. So it was a necessary step. And it was like working 9-to-5 for money and then 5 to 9 for passion, right? I finish work and go out there and shoot photos. And I sucked at them. But I sucked at them for like 365 days. And after that, I was like okay at it. So I was charging a little bit and slowly climbing up, right? But those are the steps, really.
I agree with that. Like, well, 9-to-5 isn't for everyone. I agree with Jazz. Like, I'm so unemployable too. But it can be important and it's a good stepping stone. So there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5. Also, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, right? A lot of risk involved. It can, you know, we work 24 hours just so, you know, well, so we don't have to work 8 hours for someone else. Right now, I'm working 48 hours in one day, That's not even
Right.
possible.
Oh my God.
Right now I'm working 48 hours, so one day I can not have to work the 8 hours for someone else. That's how
Yeah.
it feels.
Well-
But anyhow, yeah, it's a good stepping stone. You can learn a lot from it, but it's also not for everyone. But anyhow,
So there is one fear, if I may, in terms of the starting the business, because
There's many fears.
well, there's many fears for sure. But if you're asking about like what fear did we, what do we fear the most starting a new business or maybe starting a new industry? And for me, I mean, I still sometimes struggle with that. I know I'm sure a lot of people can relate, and that's the imposter syndrome. Yeah, especially starting as a new business in the social media industry as a brand new account on social media. You're seeing the social media gurus with 100,000 plus followers, and then there you are with 500 followers in the beginning, and trying to, I guess, compete with that. But it's not until I really realized that I'm not here to compete. I'm here to bring something new and fresh and different and authentic, if I may say, to the table, that I finally started to feel more comfortable and qualified. And as one of our great mentors says, just as long as you focus on helping someone who is maybe a year or 5 years or even 6 months behind you, then you're always going to be qualified. You're not trying to help someone who's, light years ahead of you. So, if you think that way, then the imposter syndrome disappears.
Yeah, that's a huge fear, honestly. Other fears that come to mind is like there's a fear of failure, which I think goes through everyone's head. Like, what if I fail at this, right? There's also the fear of success. Will I be able to handle my success, right? Will I be able to manage that? What would I be like when I achieve it? That's honestly, I think, a fear that a lot of people don't really put out there as much.
yeah, that's so true. I have thought of that fear. I've had that, like that circled in mind too. What if this does blow up like next month? Am I prepared? Right? Yeah, hey, that's really cool that you shared that.
The fear of success, I think, really comes down to like, are you confident that you're going to step up when you're called up to step up, right? Are you like, once things start changing, once you start hiring people, once you start delegating things, will you be the leader that you're supposed to be? And it's really comfortable to sit back and work with one client or just do a little bit, work a couple hours. I'm an entrepreneur, I can kick back, no one's my boss. But really, that feeds back into the possibility of failure. So if you really want to succeed, you got to just embrace everything that comes with the success and really give yourself permission to succeed by just accepting that you're going to be taking on more responsibility, and it's going to be hard, right? But at the end of the day, it's a necessary step. I think another fear is like not being good enough, kind of like what you're saying in the imposter syndrome. And the way I worked around that one is to just really understand that there is an endless ceiling of knowledge that you need to have for you to feel that you're good enough. But the one thing that can actually surpass that is simply taking action, simply taking that first step. You take that first step, you take the second step, and before you know it, you're jogging, and before you know it, you're running. And you never have to be like good enough other than for yourself. And to borrow from what you're saying is like, as long as you're helping people that are either slightly or maybe years behind you, and you can offer them like real life-changing value, then you're actually contributing. And just because you follow the biggest people in the industry on social media, which is like a double-edged sword, right? You can learn from them, but you can also it can really affect your self-esteem, right? So it's just not comparing yourself and accepting your authenticity, accepting your value, and really coming to terms with like, I am who I am, and if people dig it, that's going to be reflected in the people that work with me or not. So, and I think that's another huge fear, really. I think when it comes to social media, if I can add one more, is like putting yourself out there. Like that's one that we were doing some coaching calls initially when we started. We're reaching out to people and saying, hey, like, you know, we just want to learn people's problems. One of the problems that came up the most is the fear of putting yourself out there, the fear of clicking record and facing the camera. And I think that fear comes from the mindset of thinking that you have like a content problem, that you didn't say something good enough, that you didn't present yourself good enough in any one piece of content. But if you were to reframe your mind and really think that you have like a volume problem, it's repetitions, right? It's like going to the gym. You can't do one rep and be like, how come I'm not jacked? Oh, maybe I didn't do it right. The pro bodybuilders have done hundreds of thousands of repetitions. And it's through putting in the work time and time and time and time again that you actually overcome that fear. So just taking that first step, that second step, and let that fear just melt away slowly. It's hard, but you know, it's necessary to get to the end goal that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and then it also, like, taking that action also builds your confidence. It makes the fear go away, and then it also builds your confidence because you do start eventually getting better at it. So it's just like kind of when you're sharing your story on how you started photography, like you'd work your 9 to 5 and then you'd do 5 to 10 on your passion. That's what entrepreneurs have to do. Work the 9 to 5, 5 to 10 to build your dream and your business. And then, therefore, you know, the first year was practice. Then you started getting a little better. You could start charging. And the next thing you know, you're a professional and now you're helping others learn how to start. So cool. No, I honestly also really love how you shared the fear of actually succeeding and having to step up to the plate and fulfill that responsibility, and how you're like, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, maybe I can step back. I can take today off. This is my business, but that's also setting you up for failure. You got to go with it, go with the flow, and then enjoy the process. That's what it's all about. But I love the way you put that. You put that very well. All right. So what makes you guys exactly different from other, you know, social media managers or marketing agencies? What makes you guys unique?
I think one of the things that makes us unique is our approach to social media marketing and content marketing. We don't see it as a task that we're just taking off your plate, just another thing that you got to do. We really focus on what the outcome really is. It's like if you're trying to become an industry leader on sharing value, of nurturing an audience, opening up opportunities, that's where our focus really is. It's a long-term vision for your career, for your brand. And so the things that we add in our services, for example, are really catered to that. High volume of content, full support in terms of helping you in the things that really take up your time, but also balancing that with having your personality really shine authentically on social media. So we have a system that we developed for sustainable content creation that only takes up 5 hours a month to create over 30 pieces of content in a month. And I think that's really unique because when you ask people how long do they spend on content creation, they may say 3 hours per piece of content, you know, with the editing and all that kind of stuff. Our system completely, you know, 3 hours, you've already filmed 15 videos. So that's a really big one. We really focus on you having a bigger impact on a bigger scale. And we want to open up new opportunities. So it's not just sharing content, but it's leveraging the platforms, right? Collaborations, growth, being on other podcasts, having new opportunities, monetizing your online presence. The amount of people that I know that have tens of thousands of followers and are not monetizing that. So really like learning how to do that, how to capture leads, having lead magnets, and funnel people into revenue generation streams. I think that's what really makes us different. We're not just managing your social media. We're doing something far more impactful for your brand on the long term. And I think that's really what the power of content marketing is really putting yourself out there and opening new opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, you also get a full team of experts. And I would say more than anything, it's our kind of unique background. with, the decade plus of professional photo and video experience, and really being able to coach you through just how to improve your content, how to show up authentically and create high quality videos consistently.
Yeah, like working with us isn't just send us some stuff. We actually work one-on-one with our clients to coach them to create better content, right? And channeling that 15 years of commercial photo and video production and passing that on in like digestible, actionable, bite-sized pieces that you can actually apply to the everyday things that you do to create better content. Little things like lighting, like what equipment to use, how to frame yourself in the camera, how to use a hook to attract an audience, how to retain attention throughout a video, how to use a call to action to actually inspire your viewers to take action on certain things. And then later, how to leverage your knowledge to create products and to monetize your social media. I think that's really the thing that differentiates us from, say, an ordinary just social media manager in that regard.
And we like to practice what we preach. So any sort of techniques or strategies or, content types we're getting our clients to do, it's because we've already, tried and tested them and they've worked for us. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I was actually thinking that when you guys were sharing, some of the points that you guys were making, I was thinking like, these guys are already doing that. Like they're living what they're preaching. They're walking the walk, because you guys got all this down to a T with your content and everything that I follow. I know on your YouTube channel you have some you have some videos that share what equipment to get and things like this, and everything is really well done and definitely sets you in the right direction. So I appreciate your content. You guys have me sold. And I absolutely
thank you.
I also just I don't know how to put this. Like you guys have like this warm, like as a couple together, like you guys have like this warm feeling, I don't know how to, like I would really enjoy working with you guys. Like does that make sense? And like I don't know, like your personalities, your calmness, and I don't know how to explain it, but you guys really have this really cool aura, about you guys. And I could see myself really enjoying working with you guys and taking that mentorship and guidance and coaching too.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, man.
We get all the crazy out, behind the scenes so that we can bring the calm while we're on set.
Yeah, that's like my girlfriend and I too. We get a lot of those compliments as well.
There's got to be a balance, right? A healthy balance.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
that's
you guys
been like a really
that
tough part when we were creating content. At first should it be me in front of the camera? Should it be you in front of the camera? Should it be both of us? And like really learning, or not necessarily learning, but experimenting with different content types. And, we've gotten feedback from people from like, oh, I unfollowed you because one day you're making a sandwich. And I was like, what? Like, we're experimenting with a humorous way of showing like, my way of doing things versus her way of doing things. And that video actually got...
I think I actually know exactly what video you're talking about. I personally really like that video.
And I'm just slapping a sandwich together, and by the time that she's done making hers,
that video was really good. Sorry to interrupt, but I remember that video. Yeah. And that pretty much the point was like you guys have two different ways of doing things.
Right.
Exactly. So that's kind of like, we're just we're always experimenting, right? And that's kind of like the right way or the right type of content for your platform is really the best content that your audience wants to watch from you, right? People want to see you put yourself out there, and the only way to do that really is to like try different things. So, like try a role play, try a comedy skit, try a cinematic, be in the kitchen cooking up a video, like, just random silly things. But before you know it, one of those things can really like exponentially grow yourself on social media, right? It's putting yourself out there in different ways, because everyone is just talking to the camera. Everyone is just doing, the B-roll and the sound effects, but it's the people that are putting themselves out there with their own, special sauce, with their own flair, that they stand out. And that's what people, I think that's what people appreciate. And despite maybe losing one follower because I made a sandwich, we gained so many more from it. So we appreciate them being there.
Also, one last thing I want to add to that is the power of community. Community over competition all the way, any day of the week. And we actually started a community called the Personal Brand Accelerator Hub. It's on Facebook for now. I know many people have a love and hate relationship with it, but you're all welcome to join.
yeah, definitely share that with me. I'm not sure if I'm on that community, but I'd love to join. I think that's what this is all about. Building a community, coming together, working with each other, supporting each other, and that way no one fails. And that's one of the Rise Over Run's biggest vision, is creating unity in the community, bringing people together. And if a community comes together, if the community is strong enough, it doesn't even matter if the dollar collapsed, because we would all come together and work together and make it work anyhow, right? So everyone has different skills and abilities and strengths and weaknesses, but when a community comes together, there's nothing that can break that.
Exactly.
So I love it. I agree with that. No, this is an absolutely amazing interview, amazing conversation. I really loved how you guys have just laid everything, out on the table. So what advice do you guys have for someone who is trying to grow their personal brand and have more of a social media presence?
I think for someone that's wanting to take that leap, really grow their social media presence, it's really important to take that first step, to take action. The reason why 99% of people fail at really achieving their goals is making that decision and actually taking action. So if you're contemplating whether you should put yourself out on camera, whether you should start an account, whether you should get some help, whether you should, put content out there, really taking that leap and starting and doing it. That's really what's going to get you to that end goal. So not just working through those fears and really making sure that you're putting yourself out there and giving yourself the best opportunity for people to really get to know you as a person, to really get to know your business, because there's a lot of value that people have, right, from their careers. There's a lot of knowledge that I think lots of people in their audience could really benefit from knowing. And the only way that they're going to know that is if they have a one-on-one conversation or if you create some content around it. So I'd say if you're feeling stuck with that, just remind yourself that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And it's hard because it's something worth putting the time and the effort into. And that's why it's such a hard decision, or that's why it's so hard to take that step, because it's a necessary step for you to get to where you need to go. For me, one of the biggest setbacks that held me back from putting content out there, even though I know how powerful it could be for my business and my brand, was I've always been a big perfectionist, and I know a lot of people can relate to this. So I would always overthink everything, as simple as what clips do I stitch together from my reel? What caption do I create? And then just overthinking posting it. Should I post it? When should I post it? What should it look like? What music to use? Just every little detail. And then I would just not post it at all. So it got me nowhere, basically. So it took me some time of learning, relearning, and just practicing. But at the end of the day, the best way is to just set a deadline for one. And, it's easy to say, just don't overthinking, just do it. But once you stop putting so much pressure on any one single piece of content and zoom out and look at it as your whole entire body of work,
over the span of a longer period of time, like that's really what's going to make a difference. And that's what's going to matter, because one single post, you know, out there in the social media universe or metaverse means really nothing, right? So you gotta keep posting over a longer period of time, and then, you know, reap the benefits of the fruits of your labor. So,
and those benefits really are, it's kind of like financial investing in a way. When you invest money, it's to get that compound growth. And content is a time multiplier, right? When you start sharing lots of content, maybe immediately the moment that you post it, you're not going to get tons and tons of views. But over time, when you start looking at your watch time, some of the biggest people out there, like Grant Cardone, for example, or Chris Do in the media industry, or Alex Hermosi, these people have over 10,000 hours of watch time per day. So imagine that you're like a service provider, a realtor, for example, and like how many doors can you knock in a day? How many cold calls can you make in a day? How many meetings can you handle in a day? What if your content could multiply your touch points with your audience and with your clients and give them value, educate them, inform them about the process of working with you, and put you in front of more people? I think those are really the benefits and really a worthwhile reward for taking those initial steps and getting out of your comfort zone and clicking record. Really, that's where the benefit really, really comes in. It's not in the short term, but it's in that long-term time multiplication.
and in the beginning, it's quantity over quality, really. And this is something I got very wrong in the beginning because, again, being such a perfectionist, and, you know, coming from the photography background, just tweaking my photos, every detail to perfection. This took me a long time to wrap my head around. So really in the beginning, it is quantity over quality. And the more you post, the quicker you learn. And over time, the better your content gets. So realizing that and just getting started.
No, I totally agree with everything you guys shared, and I totally agree with the quantity over quality when you first start. The quality is eventually going to get better from the quantity of putting it out. The more you put out, the better you're going to get. The faster you're also going to get better too as well. So, really amazing advice. If you guys really want to start working on building your brand and building your social media presence and get yourself out there, make sure you guys reach out to Jazz and Sebastian. I'm going to put all their contact information down in the description. Do not hesitate to reach out. You can even reach out to me. I'm more than happy to connect you guys. But I totally agree with you. Like, how many doors can you knock on? How many cold calls or calls can you make? What if one post can engage with thousands of people? It would do way more than the amount of people that, say, you could get from door knocking and cold calling. So the power of social media is just how many people you can simply reach just from that 5 minutes that it took to do the post, right? And so I absolutely love it. So again, guys, I'm going to put all their information down in the description. Reach out on Instagram. I'll put their email, their website, everything you guys need down there. Do not hesitate to reach out. But if you guys are building a business and you do not have a social media presence and you want to build a stronger brand, make sure to reach out, and the time is now. So there we have it. And again, thank you guys. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. It was
Happy to be here.
Pleasure being here. Also seeing you put yourself out there on social media. Like, I've been following you from the start, and I love what you're doing, man. Really building a community, helping people share their story. It's super valuable. Like, you're giving people a platform to share what they do and add value to people's lives, and that's a really worthwhile mission. 100% support it, and thank you for giving us the opportunity, the privilege to be here with you.
And don't forget to check out their Rise Over Run merch.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
I appreciate you guys. I thank you guys very much. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate our relationship, and I can't wait to start working with you guys myself. And I'm super excited for that. So again, you guys reach out. Don't hesitate. Amazing interview. And till next time, over and out.
Adios.
Adios.